Well, good morning, everybody. We have a special guest in the studio this morning. Good morning, Bruce. How you doing, man?
Good morning, Sean. Good morning. How you doing today?
Man, it's great to see you, dude. Yeah. So, man, Bruce has been a great friend of mine for a long time. I've done a lot of business with him. I've admired, his watching him and watching his career blossom, and I've generated a really great friendship with you, man. And more people need to know who Bruce Miller is, man. And so I'm glad to have you. Hopefully we can highlight your story, man, and talk through some things and just have some fun today, man.
Yep.
You ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, man. So give the audience a little bit of, insight about Bruce Miller, man. Like, where were you born? Like, tell us a little bit about your childhood. Give us a little bit of the backstory about how'd you get to where you are right now, man?
Yeah, well, I was born in the West Bank. I lived in the West Bank for 10, 11, 12 years of my life. And then at some point we moved to the East Bank.
How old are you? How old are you, Bruce?
I'm 43.
43. Okay,
Yeah.
So you were born in the
79.
79. Okay, all right.
And I lived in the worst possible neighborhoods in the West Bank. Poor neighborhoods. Typically, the only white person in the
Where on
Trianon Square, behind Time Clock, Lac du Bay, Lac du Coeur, off of Whitney.
Where's that? Is that
Mary
in
Poppins?
Is that in Harvey, Gretna?
It's a little bit all over. Just
Man, I never heard of those places, dude.
Oh,
You were deep back in the hood, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's neighborhoods. Like these are, and that's the neighborhoods that I lived in, and that's just how I grew up. My mom had me at 15 years old. Just kind of like survival was like I had to like survive from the beginning.
So what was? Do you remember a lot of your childhood?
Yeah.
So what was that? What was that like, man? Growing up in the only white guy and all that stuff, man.
It was it was different, it was like it just I didn't really notice it.
Yeah, because that's all you knew.
That's all I knew. But
Yeah.
I'm typically like every class from kindergarten to 5th to 6th grade. I was the only white kid in the class. Didn't go to private schools. It was all public schools. So that's just how I grew up. I didn't choose that. That's just how I was. So I had to make the best of it. So I had to a lot of fighting and things like that. And but like survival. My mom had me at 15. My dad was a little older, but it's like she wasn't ready to have no kid. So I didn't really I didn't have that loving, nurturing mom at the house.
Yeah.
My mom and dad both alcoholics. They drink 3-4 nights a week. Drank till they pass out. On a regular Tuesday.
You have siblings?
No,
siblings.
Only child. So kind of like really on my own, like surviving from. I didn't even know that that's what I was doing, was surviving, and but I've been doing that since I was a kid. Since I was a kid,
Wow, man.
Not the greatest. I was like smart. I was like in gifted and talented classes, but my parents didn't care.
Where'd you go to high school? That's a question in New Orleans. Everybody asks, where'd you go to high school?
Yeah, and it's like I went to Riverdale, but I dropped out.
I gotcha.
So that's where I ended up going to high school. Got to 11th grade, but my parents really didn't care. We moved around so much, so I didn't have that continuity of this teacher or this system, or I was
this group of friends.
This group of friends. I probably went to 10 different schools from kindergarten to 11th grade.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so I wasn't gifted and talented. I was real smart, but they didn't care. I didn't care, and I dropped out of high school when I was 17. And I was on my own at 17. I turned 17 years old July 10th, and then July 20th, my dad kicked me out. So I was.
Why did he kick you out?
He just I had dropped out of school. I didn't have a job, and I guess it was like just get out, and I had a job, but I didn't have. I don't even know why he kicked me out, but that was it. Like I was on my own since then. I got my own apartment. Had to convince some lady to let me get an apartment. Then I had to go get a job to pay for it. I was 17 years old, and I made a decision to go back and get my GED. So there was a GED school that was like from 8 to 10:30 on Clearview.
Okay.
And then down the street from the.
So you're in Metairie now.
Yeah.
So
we lived in the West Bank till 11 or 12. Then I moved into like Old Jefferson.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Shrewsbury.
Yep. Shrewsbury. Yeah.
And so now I'm like 17. I had dropped out of school. I'm kind of on my own. So I wake up and I catch the bus to Clearview, the bottom of Clearview. There's a GED school.
Okay.
And I go to the GED school from 8 to 10:30. Then down a few blocks down, there's a Taco Bell and a McDonald's right next to each other. I work at the Taco Bell and a Wendy's right next to each other. I worked at the Wendy's from 11 to 5, and I worked at the Taco Bell from 5 to 10. And I had my own apartment, 17 years old. I took the test for the GED, and they like said, okay, you passed, but you got to be in here for 3 weeks. You know, so I did that for like a few months. I got the GED. I did that for a few months, and I remember like one time there was 3 pay periods in a month, and I had like $30. I had $30 extra because all I did was just pay my rent, electricity, cable, go to work. I had no extra money. I remember when I got that extra $30, I thought I hit the lottery. You know, so,
Jesus, dude.
So I did that for a period of time, and then just that's kind of like the beginning. You said about the beginning. That's the beginning. You know.
Yeah. Did you play sports?
Listen,
because you're a sports fanatic, man.
I am a sports fanatic, and when I was younger. Listen, I have a 22-year-old, 18-year-old, and a 8-year-old little girl. The 2 boys, I coached them in baseball, flag football. Went to Cooperstown with both of them.
I remember seeing the pictures. Yeah,
in the barracks with both kids at their age. Yeah. When Bruce, my son, was like 7 years old, we brought him to Harahan Playground, and he started playing, organized sports. And I was when Bruce was 7, I was 28. And I had always heard about that, playground, but I never really participated in it because my parents never brought me.
Okay.
So I didn't necessarily,
Yeah.
I thought to myself at 28, man, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But it's been going on forever. And my parents just didn't do that. And so we played neighborhood football. You talking about like in the rough neighborhoods on the West Bank, like the only white kid. And we played football. I was always one of the fastest. I was always real small. But I love sports, but I never got to play as a kid. You know what I'm saying? So, but I got all that back and more coaching both of my sons. And I was a travel baseball coach for like 10 years, which was awesome. Made a lot of great friendships and friends to this day. And spent a lot of time with my sons. So I focus a lot now on my daughter.
Yeah.
She's got my heart, but my 2 sons, we spent so much time together. In sports.
Well, I've been able to watch it through social media, man. Your kids, you got great kids. They're super, like, brilliant, smart, right? Like,
they're all different. One of them had a perfect ACT score, and he's graduated Tulane by 21, and he's taking a year off to go to law school. My middle son is amazing. I always make a joke to them too. He's dyslexic and dysgraphia, so he struggles with the structure of school because it's not set, it's not built for
dyslexic people.
It's just not, So he struggles.
My
with
oldest
that.
son, Sean Jr., is dyslexic.
Yeah, well, you can identify that the system's not built for them.
No, really struggled, man, but has just flourished.
But I'm sorry.
Sean Jr., but he's just flourished, as he got out into the world, man. Yeah.
And that's exactly what Peyton is. Peyton is like amazing. Can walk into a room, make friends with anybody, great personality. But the school thing has him like he's just not thriving, but I joke with my 2 sons. Bruce is brilliant, but he has a little social skills. He's real quiet, Yeah. And I joke all the time. I said, Bruce, you better be nice to Peyton because later in life you're gonna have to borrow money from Peyton, because that what Peyton has, the world needs, Now Bruce will do fine because he's smart, But Peyton, people don't realize that selling is in everything that we do. I don't care if you are running a church, a Popeyes. You need to be able to sell. You need to be able to, effectively communicate your side of the story to somebody else to get them to do business with you. That's selling. So my middle son is going to be a good salesperson.
Nice, man. One of the things I've noticed about you, and it's interesting, man, because I see this in myself too, is that you never seem, you've dealt with a lot of adversity in your life, man, like a lot of adversity. I mean, look at your childhood, the way you were brought up. You're a statistic basically that has beaten the odds, and the odds are probably 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million. Somebody that's born into the system that you were born into the environment, man. It's a lot more difficult to figure it out and to get out onto the other side of it. And man, I've watched you throughout your entire career, and I've admired the way that you're never satisfied, man. Like you never, where you are is just where you are, but it's not where you're going. You're always pushing and doing things. Do where did all that come from, man? Like,
Um, it's just they have a saying, hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. If you can, I think you should. Like, why does the bully take your lunch money?
right?
It's not because he's hungry.
It's because he can.
Just because he can.
Yeah.
So, I think that when I got on my own, I did find God at like 20 years old, and in a really committed relationship with God, like a life changing thing that really changed my life.
What happened?
No, just started going to a Pentecostal church, and found God, and
Yeah.
gave my life to Jesus, like to follow after him, and to really do it, try to like say, all right, what's the preacher saying? I want to follow the rules and try to do it. I've been in the car business for 25 years, but I've never like been to a strip club on a Friday night with the boys. I don't drink, I don't smoke. It doesn't make me better than anybody, but that's just how I chose to do it. To try to have the maximum effect. You know? And like having that relationship with God, kind of like surviving my childhood, it just kind of created a mentality in me of like, I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Yeah.
I might not be, but that's so nothing really kind of slows me down. I think I'm somewhat dyslexic too. I never was diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
So the first 10, 11 years of my career, when I was working for other people, I was really misunderstood. I was like always fighting, always arguing, to this day.
Because you were pushing people.
Yeah. To this day, somebody asked me a question the other day, and I answered the question, not just answering the question. I thought to myself, why are you asking me this question? Let me see what I need to answer. Are you tricking me? Like, all this goes to my mind with every question, like instantaneous. So sometimes it's like I don't come across. I'm not effectively communicating myself because I'm trying to outthink myself. And, So no, but so when I got into the business world, there was a period of time like from like 16 to 18, I was a door-to-door salesperson.
Wow, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah. So when I was 14, I was walking home from school, and a guy pulled up in a van, creepy guy pulled up in a van, and handed me a flyer and said, "You want to make $150 a week?" And I'm like, to me, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it was like selling these $5 boxes of candy, and you made 25% commission. So the first night I made $25. He picked me up at 5. I got dropped off at the house at 8:15. I made $25 cash that first night, and so I proceeded to from 14 to 16 make about $200 a week cash as a
kid.
And my dad was a little different. I had to pay for toilet paper. From that point on, I had money. He took my. It was almost like I was paying rent at 14 years old. That's just how it was. But I always understood the value of a dollar. I always understood hard work. Yeah. You 14, 15 years old, you hanging with some friends where their dad might have gave them $40 for the Friday night, right? My $40 came from my hard work. So it made me value money and bills and different things a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? So when I got into the car business, because I was like engaged to be married and had a child on the way. So
How old were you?
20.
20 years old.
20 years old. And so I needed the job from the candy turned into the Times-Picayune, where I was selling subscriptions to the Times-Picayune door to door, and so like, but now I need a real job. I was making good money, back then.
Door to door is a great entry point for young people that want to get into sales, man, because you get a lot of at bats, you get a lot of no's, you get a lot of repetitions to figure it out and to turn that no into a yes, man.
Yeah, you got to be quick on your feet. You're in a few seconds, if they even open the door. So and it was funny that when I got the newspaper route, it wasn't like a paper route where you throw in the paper. It was a route where you go sell to. Everybody else had all the good routes. They gave me New Orleans East.
Oh,
so I you could hire like young kids, 14, 15 years old. They could be like on a work permit. And so I pick up a group of kids and we go to New Orleans East. I don't really know all the good neighborhoods or bad neighborhoods of New Orleans East. So every now and then we get out the van. All right, you go down the street and back. And we wouldn't make it 2 houses. No, let's get back in the van. Let's get back in the van. But, we did well. And so when I about to get married, baby on the way, I had to get a better job. A friend of mine, a cousin, said she was a receptionist at a Royal Honda. And she says, man, you remind me of those salespeople, and you should go sell cars, So I applied for in the Bone Zone.
Because you're living on the West Bank.
No, I settled down in Harahan.
Okay.
That's where my wife, was from, and that's where the rest of my life I've been living in Harahan. So I went to apply for the Bone Zone because it just was in a newspaper. They had an ad, So and I told this story recently. I'm like uneducated, kind of rough around the edges, 21-year-old kid. I'm not who you probably would hire. The Bone Zone was like the best organization in the city at that time. They attracted the best of the best.
Yeah.
Well,
what year was this, Bruce?
2000.
2000.
I was married July 7th, 2000. Little Bruce was born October 3rd, 2000, and I started in the car business September 5th, 2000.
Wow.
All in the same time, So I called, interviewed with a good friend of mine, Wayne Gonsolin, and I had the interview, and they never called me back. Had an interview like on a Monday, so I'll call back on Tuesday. I'll call back on Wednesday. I'll call back on Thursday. Now, at this time in the week, I had figured out how to get directly to his phone without going through the receptionist, hit 0 or whatever. Some kind of way I figured out how to get past the gatekeeper, And Friday afternoon, he answered. I got him on the phone, and you could tell it was like caught him off guard,
Yeah.
And I said, look, I really want the job. I never got a phone call back, and he at that moment he says, okay, you can start Monday. And Monday was Labor Day, September 5th, and it was a class of like 19 people, and
they were hiring salespeople, so they had a big class coming in.
Yeah, big class. It was like 19 salespeople. He was hiring for maybe 10 stores. The 10 stores he hired for.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the class, and I'm listening to everybody talk. Oh, he called me 2 months in a row. Man, I finally decided to come. I'm listening to these people, but basically begged to come work here. And so I didn't say nothing that I just got the job on Monday afternoon,
Yeah.
And but as soon as he started teaching the class, it was like love it. Like I knew in that class that was going to be for me,
Why do you think that is, man? It just you saw the pieces connect, huh? You could see how the dots connected, how you can make money.
Well, the it wasn't even about the money. It's just like the words he was saying.
Yeah.
I had been doing that in that newspaper job and that candy job, overcoming objectives. Everything he was saying, I was like,
I can do that.
I know. It was like I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of eerie,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so and then that's how I started in the business.
Wow, man. So you go over you're on the West Bank at the Bone Zone, which I was in the business back then. I was so you got in 2000.
Yeah.
I was leaving the business in 2000 and going into the event business at that point, man.
Yeah.
So you missed the whole Y2K thing that the computers were going to turn off and all that stuff. And so you get in at 2000. You're at the Bone Zone, and man, you climbed the ranks of that organization pretty quickly, didn't you?
Yeah. 19 months later, I was a finance manager. At 23 years old. So when I tell this story, I'm just telling a story. I'm not trying to be something, or I'm not trying to I'm just telling a story of recalling my life.
Yeah.
This day and age, man, I couldn't imagine any 17-year-old living on their own. I couldn't imagine somebody being committed to marry a girl, at 21. And we rarely see finance managers, which is one of the most important positions in a dealership,
Sure.
at 23 years old. So, so that's it. I was a good salesperson, and then I wasn't like selling 30 cars a month like a lot of guys do these days, but I was really good at the whole like A to Z, understanding the deal, like at a very, very early age, and I was at Don Bone GMC first. That was my first where I sold cars. Then I ended up at Bone Brothers Toyota, and that's where I got put into finance at a Toyota store at 23 years old.
Big Toyota store too.
Yeah, big Toyota store, selling 200 cars a month. It was an amazing opportunity. It was awesome. It was like proud moment, one of the proud moments of my life. I look back on.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
You
dude,
seem, really self-taught. Would you say that kind of changed the way that you raised your own kids? Like, did you ever hold any resentment against your parents because you kind of raised yourself from 17 on?
No, I mean, when I had kids, I didn't give them access to my kids. I wasn't mad at them, but you still drinking 3 nights a week. You living in, you just not. I'm not gonna force you on my kids, So they didn't. I was promoted at 23, and then my dad killed himself at 25. So I haven't had him in my life. Like earlier, you said something about overcoming. You said something about being a statistic. Well, listen, like in my life, my mother had me at 15. My dad committed suicide. I'm got 35. I got a terminal cancer diagnosis. On and on and on. I just been having to overcome. Even to at this day at 43, I just have to continue to overcome. So I didn't have time to feel sorry for myself. Yeah. I recently seen an interview where I think 50 Cent said, "I never ran because I know where to run to."
right.
Who I'm gonna run to. So I never had a chance to cry and complain about it. No, I've probably like overloved my kids as a result of that. I've probably. I don't think I ever told them no for anything. I went and worked hard, provided, and I tried to make up the things that I thought I would have wanted to do as a kid. I tried to do through them and tried to, So there was no. I'm not no psychologist, but there was no like deep-seated resentment. I just moved on. When I became an adult, now I'm doing this. I'm not doing that no more. The 20-year-old relationship with God really kind of like was a new beginning of my life, and it kind of allowed me to just forget about all the old bad stuff.
Yeah, so I can tell you this, dude. I gave my life to Christ on April 26, 2004, at my sister's wedding in the Ritz-Carlton, and that was a defining day. That from that day forward for me, there were no more excuses. There were no more of the old way because I became a new person, and I had a real foundation in a guidebook that I could live my life by, and so
same thing. So I had all this tragedy, all this, like when the phone rings past 10 o'clock at night growing up, that meant somebody was in jail, somebody had died, somebody got in a car wreck.
Yep.
Like it happened so much. It was just like like you knew something bad was happening,
Yeah.
So when I gave my life to God and started living for God, and it was a new beginning. Like from that point on,
Yep.
And then when I got under my pastor, the teachings of the church, and like what God wants you to be, the head, not the tail, and
Forgiveness and
forgiveness, but I'm talking about how it shaped me business wise.
Yeah.
Because it made me. I've really felt like I was David fighting Goliath every day of my life. You know?
Faith conquers fear.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I embraced it. I would always to this day I tell people, me having this the cancer that I have, I wear it with a badge of honor because maybe some way in my mind my kids don't have to have it, because I have it. So I'll absolutely take it over them having it. So God placed this burden on me. He placed many burdens on me. And so with the social media recently, the last 2-3 years, I really try to be a very positive influence.
Yeah.
Because I want people to say, well, man, if that dude, all the things that he's going through, he can wake up every day and be positive. Maybe I can too, And I try to identify like God is in everything that we do.
Yep.
And I try to identify that. Okay, why? What good could come from this? So I try to be and it's working. Get messages all the time from people I don't even know.
Yeah.
On some days I don't feel like doing it because I have a bad day every now and then where I'm like, man, gotta go back to MD Anderson. My blood pressure's high. I don't feel that great. And then I'll get like a message from random dude in Baton Rouge that works at a dealership. Hey man, I watch everything you do.
Yep.
You know, I remember one day I was walking through the airport and I was having a bad day. Heading to Houston, and I just wasn't feeling it. I mean, I was just trying to get on that plane, go do the test, come back, you know. And a man walked up to me and says, "Hey man, I kind of recognize him. I don't know him through Facebook, you know."
Yeah.
He said, "Hey man," he said, "Bruce Miller." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "Hey man, I really want to appreciate what you're doing. Me and my friends, we hang out every once a week or whatever, and your name comes up a lot. We talk about life and getting better." And he says, "Man, you don't even know us, and you impacting us." And I was at a low point, like that day, you know, and so just try to be a positive influence if I can, you know.
You know, you are too, man. And anybody who's watching this, you ought to, it's just Bruce Miller on Facebook, huh?
Just Bruce Miller. Yep.
Yeah, man. Hey, you talk about words of encouragement every day. I just posted something a couple of weeks ago of how powerful words of encouragement are, and you're always encouraging people, man. You're always uplifting people. You're always, you know, and I know your story, so it's even more amazing to me, man, just because I know what you're walking through. I know the car business is a hard business, man. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but man, you always see the bright side of things, man. You always are optimistic, you know, and I think, you know, the phrase that'll be a famous phrase one day, all gas, no brakes, which is a Bruce Miller special. Yeah. Man, it signifies the way that you live your life, man, is that, listen, man, if you just, you know, because of your faith and because of this foundation that you have, that if you get up and just do what you're supposed to do every day, that no matter how it looks and no matter what it seems at a certain point, if you just keep going, man, God always shows up, man. It happens over and over again where you become, I have confidence and I have no fear no matter what the picture looks like, because so many times in my life I've come out the other side of something that just seemed impossible, dude. Yeah. Like, what the heck are you thinking? And it's happened so many times. It's no way it's a coincidence. And it just showed me that, hey man, I don't care what today looks like. I just know if I get up and I do the same thing, the God I serve is bigger than any of the problems or issues I have. And man, it's magic every single time, man. Now it could be hard getting to that magic, and there might be tough days, but I've watched you do the same things, man, because you've been in a crazy kind of business. The car business is a crazy business, man. It's super competitive.
Alpha males.
Alpha males, and you're like, dude, you push these alpha males, these owners, you push them to a point of being uncomfortable sometimes, man.
That's been a downfall. It's not a downfall now as we get later, and I'll tell you, where I'm at now, but it's been a downfall because most people just bow down.
Yeah.
You giving me this much money, you can talk to me however you want. You can tell me whatever you want. I'm going to do whatever you say. I'm going to treat whoever you tell me to treat badly because you're giving me money.
Yeah.
But I never live for money. You know, I live for God. God orders my footsteps. You know, I'm competitive. I want to make money, but I trust God more than I trust the paycheck. I trust God more than I trust the employer, and I operate my life accordingly. You know, all gas, no brakes. You know, I got like a saying that I wrote in the back of the little hoodie, and it's you know, opportunities. I see indecision all the time, right? And a great opportunity will present itself. And man, you need to, if you have prayed about that, and yet look, that's the opportunity. You need to bust through that door.
Yeah.
You need to go. Most people, they're like sitting around waiting on something to happen, but man, you just gotta go. You know, you just gotta like reckless abandon, and you know, you can't have like you have to have like skins on the wall, or like you're talking about monuments in your life where God has like did this for you. Well, now you got confidence that the next time it's gonna happen.
That's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, but all gas, no brakes, man. Just keep going, keep pushing, and it's a great. You know, it means a lot to me. Somebody like a few years ago said, "Man, there was a meme going around. If this was a person." You know, like it'd be like, you remember that meme? It was like, if this was,
yeah.
And somebody said, if all gas, no brakes was a person, and it was, he took a picture off my Facebook page and he put the little thing on there. And from that moment, I'm like, oh yeah, that is me, and it makes like a lot of sense.
It
like,
really does, dude. It
like
symbolizes.
when I'm dealing with my kids, you know, this person is like, no, this all gas, no brakes is real thing. It's like
No, it's the way you live your life, man.
Yeah.
It's
like,
the way. Even when it comes to getting on your boys about all the sports and stuff, man. You got your boy Bobby, who's an Ohio boy that you're constantly ragging.
relentless.
Relentless.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if the Saints and Pelicans and LSU are bad or if they guess what, dude? You're always you're with them, man, for sure.
Yep. But like I said, I started. It was a finance manager at 23, and I worked my way up through the car business. And at 39 years old, I got an amazingly unique opportunity to be a managing partner and an owner of 2 stores in the city. There's a lot that happened between 23 and 39, but just to get there at 39 years old was like a crowning achievement. Most people in the car business, business period, you want to get to if you're a lawyer, if you want to get to the point where you're a managing partner, where you own a piece of the company.
That's right.
High school dropout, poor, on my own since 17, and to get to that point at 39 years old was awesome.
Yeah.
I had amazing success at Best Chevrolet, where we dominated the city for 6 years straight.
Yep.
No dealership was better in the city of New Orleans. I promoted 24 salespeople into management, and these people today are general managers, GSMs.
Oh yeah,
used car
this whole
directors.
city is littered with proteges that you raised in the business.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 dealerships that I could walk in that dealership and everybody in there is family. They sold cars for me. I gave them their first shot. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
I've always kind of like tried to. Nobody did that for me in the business. I was like just a afterthought. I had to like grind. Like there was nobody in my corner like bringing me to this step, to that step.
Yep.
I just was kind of doing it on my own. So when I got into position of leadership, I said, no, I don't want to do the same thing. Just like when I got to be a parent, I don't want to do the same thing that my parents did. So,
Yeah.
So great running Best Chevrolet. I got an opportunity to work at, when I was at Best Chevrolet, I'm like a few conversations down from Tom Benson.
Right.
He's talking to my general manager, but every now and then he'll send a note. I had fortunate to be in the Tom Benson suite for 3 years for every single Saints game. So little conversations here and there with him. Amazing opportunity,
Yeah.
The level that I was at that dealership was GSM, so I was aspiring to do more. So I got an opportunity to go work for the Ray Brandt organization as the vice president of operations for all the stores in the West Bank, which was an amazing opportunity when Mr. Brandt hired me. I interviewed with Mr. Brandt, that you don't really get interviewed with Mr. Brandt when you get hired.
Sure.
So I thought that was an awesome amount of respect,
Yeah.
And he said, man, you number 3 in the company. Got 700 employees, you number 3. He didn't tell everybody else I was number 3.
Yeah.
But he did tell me I was number 3, in his way of thinking, because the position I had in the stores I was running. And I left Best Chevrolet selling Chevys, and now I'm over a Hyundai store, a Kia store, a Mazda store, a Volkswagen store, Nissan. I was the general manager and executive manager at the Nissan store. That's where I stayed every day. But I have these other brands. And shortly, this is a local show, right? So Premier Nissan, the number 1 Nissan dealership, and I hope the Premier Nissan guys are listening. Number 1 Nissan dealership, 150 months in a row.
150 months.
150 months in a row. Every single month in, month out, Premier Nissan is number 1. Nobody can beat them. 150 months in a row. During the interview with Mr. Brand, I said, I don't know why we can't beat him. And he got very excited. Man's word, he passed away. God rest in peace. But the man was worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
He liked the idea of he was hiring somebody who said, we're gonna go beat Premier Nissan. And 90 days later, we was number 1 in the city. 150 months in a row. It never happened one time. 90 days later, we was number 1 in the city.
Damn.
And over 12 months, we beat them 4 times. 4 times in 12 months. I just tell a funny story, with the social media stuff. You had never one time seen the guys at Premier Nissan get a picture together and celebrate being number 1. You never seen it because they was number 1 150 months in a row.
Right.
So when we came number 1, we all celebrated, got pictures, this and that. And then a few months later, they, the next month they win. Next 2-3 months they win, and they're like celebrating with pictures on social media. So
with their team.
Yeah. So it's funny. It's always good that you have some type of impact on somebody.
Yeah.
So y'all wasn't doing that before, but then they did it. So, but that was like an amazing job at the Volkswagen store. We was number one in the state. It had never happened before. At the Hyundai store, there was a newer store, but we set and broke the all-time record several times. At the Mitsubishi store, we sold 50 new used Mitsubishis in a month. It was a newer store. It had never happened. They had never sold 100 used cars at Ray Brand Nissan on La Palco. We averaged 106 the 12 months I was there. We sold a high of 132. Every little store, every store that I was managing, we had some type of high, some type of record. Taught the organization how to take care of the employees. They had never handed out employee of month plaques. Set up a breakfast that until COVID they still was doing after I was gone to honor the employees and just that's always how key to me further in my business is taking care of the employees.
Well, I've noticed that about you, man, and I know it's a big word in today's world is culture, building a culture, and that's another thing that drew me to you, man. And we did some business together when you had Best Chevrolet, and did some really good things together. But I was always amazed because it was kind of the way that you look, those people that work for you, man, they're important to you, and you show them that they're important to you. You don't just tell them, you're pouring into them, you're helping them with training. When you look at the city now, like you said, you got 5 dealerships that you can walk into that, I know you're one of the most beloved guys in the car business. I don't know a person around that, that doesn't like Bruce Miller. Maybe, even I would imagine those guys that you worked with and you left, you have a great deal of respect from them, man, because, there was no denying, number one, your talent, number two, your drive to win. Like, dude, it's all about a scoreboard, dude. I know the way that you work, man. There's a scoreboard for a reason because you either win or you lose, dude, and that's it. But then, dude, the thing that I could see is when I'd go in your dealership, the energy, man, the people, the camaraderie, dude. There wasn't all that. I spent a lot of time in the car business. In fact, I started at Ray Brandt Nissan where you wound up, dude. That was my entry into the car business, working for Eddie.
Yeah.
And back when we were the number one Nissan dealership in the United States back then, dude, there was no other Nissan. We were selling 500, 600 new Nissans a month.
Eddie has told me about that. So.
Yeah, I bet he has, yeah. But I was part of that. That's how I came into the business. And, man, I had a group. I had John Stelly, and I had people like Gene Gilbert, really Vic Gabriel, experienced guys that poured into me and taught me the business, the way it worked. The first month I was in the business, I think I sold 50-something cars, but I only got credit for half of that because I'd go up to the desk, man, and they'd freaking chop me, and I'd go learn and figure out how to close. And but that was a great store.
Well, look, culture always anything that great happens in sports because the car business is a lot like sports.
Sure,
there's the structure. You have like so many people on a NFL team. You have somebody making $25 million. You have somebody making $700,000, but they all go to work. They all have to be there. In the car business, you have people making all kind of different money because it's whatever you earn, whatever you.
Yep.
But any Super Bowl champion, you'll hear them say stories that, man, we knew this was going to be special in OTAs. Man, the preseason, we knew we were, man, in training camp, so culture always precedes something good. So if you have a great culture, people have to come to work more than just to earn money.
That's it.
They have to come to work and believe they're a part of something a little bit bigger.
That's right.
And I always had a great ability to identify who's the opposition and get the whole team to focus. That's the opposition, and they can't beat us. And even to this day, right now, just having my own independent used car lot. My guys, when they come to work, they're ready to fight.
They're ready to fight. Yeah,
fight against whatever my objective that I put out there. Fight against their goals. Like just fight. Not just let life unravel and just take whatever comes. That's how most people live. No, that's not what I want. I want this. Yeah. So that's culture always precedes something great. So when Best Chevrolet, there's amazing culture. Even in Don Bone GMC, when I was the GSM, and we had this amazing culture. A lot of the Best Chevrolet guys came from Don Bone GMC, and then when we all got the Best Chevrolet, it was like gasoline on the fire. We sold average 325 cars a month. for like a 2.5-year stretch. We averaged 225 used cars a month sold for like a 3-year stretch. Very competitive Chevy market. We were 63-9. We came first place 63 times out of the 72 months.
I told you he keeps that scoreboard, boy.
Yeah.
I told you that scoreboard.
Yeah.
That scoreboard's always front and center, man. You always had something in your office that, man, you were looking at all the numbers.
Winners keep score, losers just to happy to be there. You know? Yep. So, but you know, amazing culture, always been like a precedent, like the groundwork. You know.
Yeah.
So, I was at the Ray Brand store, enjoying my job. Amazing thing to be able to talk to Mr. Brandt. 20, 30 minutes every day for 13 months.
Yeah.
I could, at that time and those conversations, I will never be able to put a dollar value on that. You know, it was awesome.
Mr. Brandt was a wise guy, man. Yeah, when you'd sit
he was
with
wise, caring.
yeah.
I mean, he was very, you know, he competitive. You know, I mean, I look, it was only 13 months, and he's had a lot of people that work for him, but he had a big impact on me in those 13 months. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm doing my thing, and I get a phone call from the Bones, you know, and they have a few stores. They have managing partners, and they say, hey, we want to talk to you. It was like one of the brothers said, oh, Donnie wants to talk to you. So you don't turn down a phone call with Donnie Bone, you know.
Yeah.
And they, long story short, they offered me a job to be a managing partner of Audi of New Orleans. At the same time, me being just dumb, or I guess all gas no brakes, I said, I'll take the job if you give me the Hyundai store too. Because I said, like, I come from I have a lot of people working for me now, and I just can't go to just one Audi store. They only had room for 7 salespeople. So these people are offering me to be a managing partner of this prestigious Audi store. And I say, I'll take the job if you give me the Hyundai store too. And a few days later, they said, okay, you know. And it was hard to leave Mr. Brandt, but the financial implications on my family were like huge. So, you know, after just 13 months with the Ray Brand organization, I went to, you know, out in New Orleans and Hyundai Metairie, and that was like in 2019. And so we was off and running, doing amazing things, same type of numbers. The Hyundai used car lot sold a high in the history of the store of 38 used cars. We sold 70, 80, 90. One month we did 105. You know, just set and reset the record every single month. You know,
I was watching it happen, man. And so when you exited that thing, man, it was like, this is really confusing, man, because man, Bruce, I knew what you were doing, man. Like, I could see it. You could see the numbers, man. But
yep,
all gas and no brakes.
Yes,
Huh?
sir, yep. Pandemic happened.
Yeah.
Or is happening, and then I guess you're having a lot of conversations because everybody's trying to protect their business, and maybe we didn't for the 9 months before that pandemic. We was rocking and rolling, everything was great, but them 3 months, them stressful times of the pandemic, we realized we weren't a good fit for each other, you know, or they realized I wasn't a good fit for them, and so
why was that, you think, Bruce?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. I really care about my employees.
Yeah.
You know, my father-in-law was the first, maybe like the 1,100th person to die of COVID-19. 1,100. How many people died now?
I remember it was early on.
Yeah, he was like maybe the first person in Jefferson Parish, 62-year-old man who everybody in the Elmwood Fitness Center knew him because he bench pressed 400 pounds and he was healthy and he was in the gym. And then he just got COVID too early, and they didn't treat it properly, and they intubated.
Put him on intubated him.
And then he just never got off, you know. And I felt they was more concerned that I would bring COVID back to the dealership than concerned with my family that we just lost the patriarch. You know, that was like, you know, I didn't have my mom and dad.
Right.
And it was just, you know, I had to fire 21 people from my house in March. Pandemic didn't even happen, you know. And I'm like, well, why are we doing this? Let's just, and it was like, all like the people that need jobs, the salespeople, the underperforming salespeople, the porters, things like that. So I just stood up for what I believe, and I guess you know, whatever. It
happened. Yeah,
they chose to go a different direction. No hard feelings. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So now it's like June 2020. pandemic is rocking and rolling the positive effects in the car business. Okay, because it created this weird pent up demand, low supply, high demand, where from June, really from May of 2020 until probably like now, the dealerships have made more money than they ever made in history. You know.
Yeah, all my friends in the car business hope it never goes back to the way it was.
Well, it's starting to go back.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's starting to go back.
I know our phones are ringing now.
Yeah. So nobody was looking for a Bruce or me or a general manager because everything was working. Subpar people were knocking it out the park. Rookie salespeople were making $15,000 a month. They had no idea what they was doing.
Order takers.
And so at this point in time, you know, and I kind of like I went from this organization to this organization to this, you know, all gas, no brakes, going for it.
Yeah.
Trying to live the dream, you know. So I may or may not alienated some people, you know. I know what I want. I know what I bring to the table. So I just wasn't just going to take any old thing, you know. Yeah. I had a few interviews. Nothing really transpired. And I'm in my garage, sitting in the garage, trying to, like, process all this, you know, praying. And not to get weird or anybody, but I feel as if God spoke to me, okay? And he says, he says there's multiple dealerships that are benefiting off of what you put together, the personnel. There's situations where, like, I may have brought a African-American person to a dealership that the dealership probably never would have hired. I'm not saying what dealership, I mean, or promoted somebody, and then those guys end up being great fits, end up being, superstars. And so there was people that, like, there was dealerships benefiting off of, like, my system or my effort or
the people that you trained and uplifted and dude, not the people had to do it, right? They had the talent, but somebody had to give them the opportunity. That's right.
Sometime in life, man, you never even get an opportunity, you know. So I think we always should look back at who gave us our first opportunity and be very fond of that person, because without that opportunity, you may not be where you are today.
That's true.
So God told me there's multiple dealerships benefiting, making a bunch of money, and you're not going to receive $1 from it. He says, you know, so I had the overwhelming impression that my next thing I had to do is I had to own something, that I had to have a piece of the pie and to own something.
Yeah.
So now you talk about faith. My father-in-law had just died of COVID-19. I had 15 tumors in my stomach at this time. My medication worked for 5 years where I had 0 tumors, and now it had, like, changed, transitioned. It outsmarted that medication. And
so when was this? This was in June or so? June? When
I got the job at Audi, there's another, we don't have enough time, but there's another, every time something really, really good happens in my life, I got promoted, Marlboro Sir, 23. My dad killed himself. Every time, it's like I always have to, like, the day I started at Ray Brand, vice president operations, managing 5 stores, prestigious job. The day I started, Todd Dempsey introduced me to, hey, all these guys work for you now. Shaking everybody's hand. I'm going to go put my stuff on my desk. I get a phone call. My mom died overnight, you know. So it's always, I get a job at Audi, prestigious job, man, life-changing amount of money. And 2 months in, I go to the emergency room, and they, like, the people in the emergency room are, like, terrified. They're, like, looking at a walking dead man, because on the CAT scan there was 15 plus tumors.
This is when you go to Houston?
From that point on, I transitioned and started going to Houston.
Okay.
But so again, there's always something to overcome. So now, you know, that was like when I first got to Audi. So now it's like almost a year later. I'm still dealing with it. We got on a new medication, so some of them went away. The medication that I take is supposed to reduce and prevent tumors from growing. Like, attacks the warehouse. Wherever the warehouse that produces the tumors, my medication attacks that. Well, for 5 years, I had 0 problems. Now it was like they had to switch medications.
Because it kind of ran its course.
Yeah, it ran its course with that drug.
Yeah.
And so at this point in time, fired, you know, things are unsettled. I got tumors. You know, don't really, and the cancer is weird. It's 5,000 people a year get diagnosed with it, so nobody really knows about it. It's not as well documented. so the treatment is not as simple, So
Yeah.
they're literally just guessing, and I felt that, So now like so at this point, what do? Do you like say, man, you know what? I got this terminal cancer. It looks bad right now. Let me just go take this job. Let me not be me. Let me just put my tail between my legs, batten down the hatches and prepare for my death. Like not that morbid, but like,
Yeah.
Or do I continue to believe that God has so much more for me? Do I continue to believe that I'm gonna beat these odds? Do I continue to bet on myself? Well, of course, I chose to bet on myself.
Yeah.
I turned down $400,000 a year jobs, uncertainty of a pandemic, this and that, to go make $10,000 a month working for an independent used car lot.
I remember when you did that.
Yeah, everybody thought I was crazy.
Because you had dealerships, you had stores that you had money to go buy. You had like a lot of options, man.
Yeah. I like, and I ran through a few options, and we just missed. A gentleman was going to partner with me, and they sold the store a week or two later. Somebody was going to like let me buy his little Chevy store outside of Baton Rouge, and then he lost the store. I was like pursuing every one of those angles, okay, because I was believing that God. So once you have the faith in something or the belief, you can go pursue all these things because you really believe it.
Yeah.
So if you don't really believe it, you're not gonna pursue the crazy stuff. So I was thinking I'll go own a new car franchise, but you need more money. You have to have more. You have to, a bank has to give you a $4 million floor plan. If you have a brand new company, it's hard for you to get a $4 million floor plan.
Sure.
And so I was way ahead of like I was with my faith. It's got me in trouble sometimes. I was like ahead. So I asked a few friends who had independent used car lots, and I said, well, look, I want to open my own used car lot. Can I come work for you? Because I did all this in the franchise world. It's different. Before I put money behind it, I want to go see how it is in person. I said, just pay me to come be a manager. Now I was the managing partner of 2 stores in New Orleans, Hyundai Metairie and Audi New Orleans, and I was asking somebody to pay me $10,000 to come be a manager. I'm not gonna say names. 2-3 people turned me down. I guess they was afraid or whatever, or I don't know why. So I had to go work for strangers. 2 people I never met in my life, an Egyptian guy, a Muslim guy. These are great friends of mine now.
Yeah.
But I got introduced to them. They selling about 20 cars a month, 18 cars a month. Their 4-year average was 18 cars a month. And so they like, I take the little job. The job is not enough to pay the Tulane tuition, the 2 St. Martin's tuitions, the mortgage, the car notes. So at this point, I'm really betting on myself. I'm really doubling down. I'm really like somewhat insane. Okay?
Total faith walk out on the water, on the plank. Yep.
And so 90 days later, we do 45. They average 18 for 4 years. 90 days later, we do 45 cars a month. And since then, to this day, we average 45 cars a month at that store. Brought a bunch of banks and, changed the way to buy cars, marketing. And
you were learning it the whole time.
Oh yeah.
How does this work? Is it was it much different than the new car store?
No.
Same process.
New car franchises, you have a lot of buckets of money coming in, so you got like some protection because you got this coming in. In the independent world, you really have no protection. Like whatever you make is what you make because there's no residual income coming in.
There's no service. There's no
very little
bonus
service.
Money coming in from the manufacturer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you have to be true with your, you have to be, make sure you put the right money in the car or pay the right money or buy it because you little room for error. And that's the biggest difference I would say. So but yeah, so like things are rocking and rolling. I start approaching friends and different people like that about, hey, I want some investors because I didn't want to go do it a trailer and a rock lot. I'm not talking bad about anybody who's in a trailer and a rock lot, but that's not how I wanted to start.
Yep.
With the cancer stuff, everything in my life is kind of like all gas, no brakes. It's a little bit pressed because I don't know how much time I have. You know? So I'm really trying to like maximize my time here. So the best way I could figure out is raise some capital, give a percentage of my company away to have a faster start. And talked to everybody over the years who said, "Oh man, when you ever want to do something on your own, call me." I called them all. They didn't call back. I got a few brothers in church people that men I greatly respect, people that have been known for 25 years, and outside the car business, a couple doctors, business owner, and those 3 people invested in me, and now they said yes, so I had to find the right opportunity. Possibly a new car franchise at that point in time was on my mind.
Yep.
But then I realized we didn't have being a new company would be hard. Trying to find a building and stuff like that. And then on October 30th, probably like October 25th. No, October 30th. No, September 30th. September 30th of 2020, I go to emergency room, and I had one of those tumors that got like 13 centimeters and was pressing up against something. And so they scheduled me for a surgery. I've had 2 surgeries where they pull a tumor out over the last 7 years. And so, all this is going on. So now look, you have an emergency surgery. Do you stop? Do you just go take one of these other jobs? Do you still want to pursue being a business owner? Do you still want to pursue? And of course, no. Let's go. Keep going. It was a piece of property I had put a bid on. As soon as I get out the surgery and I'm in recovery, I'm like looking for my phone to call the guy to see if I got the bid. I'm like still pressing toward the belief, because there's a belief that I believe that nobody can take away. That I'm gonna own multiple new car franchises. That God has brought me all this way, not just to bring me all this way. That there's more.
Yep.
And so long story short, fast forward a few months into 2021, and I find a building, start the process, gonna buy it, gonna open up Miller Motors, and my partner, or the people I was working for, which they treated me like a partner from day one. I never gave them no money, but they treated me like a partner from day one. They wanted me to buy 50% of that existing business, and I said, no, I'm just gonna go open up my own business. There's nothing proprietary in a used car lot. You don't really want to buy used car lots. But anyway, I bought 25%. He said, man, look, I know you're gonna have your own used car lot 2 miles away, but I still want to be partner with you. We're doing great things. Kind of precarious being a part of 2 used car lots right next to each other, but just all gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
Wrote a check. I gave him the check, and we hadn't signed paperwork yet, so it was like, I hope he gives me my money back,
Yeah.
But we ended up signing paperwork, made it all legal, and so long story short, right now we did 42 used cars last month at GNC Sales and Service. Miller Motors did 75. Only been in business in Miller Motors for 12 months. We averaged the last 90 days 75. So we sell 75 not buy here, pay here, not cash cars, 75 retail cars a month. I have 14 banks. You can't get Ally unless you've been in business for 2 years. I got Ally after 90 days. You can't get Exeter Financial unless you've been in business for 2+ years. I just got Exeter Financial last month. I have 130 used cars on the ground. I have 20 employees that work for me, selling 75 cars a month, and I have 2 really successful used car lots. And the bet on myself paid off.
It paid off, man.
It paid off, So this is not the end. I do believe there's like much more,
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying the ride. So thankful that God honored my faith. My doubling down, and many times there was some dark days and dark moments. Even some naysayers within family, within the house. People like, man, just go do this. Man, just go do that. Different people looking at me like, what's he doing? But now,
They're not saying that no more.
yeah, I wear, if I want to wear a pair of Jordans to work, I wear a pair of Jordans. If I want to go to work for 11, I go to work for 11. If I don't have to answer to nobody, I do what's right. If a salesperson, I need to give him an extra $1,000 because it's the right thing to do. I don't have to check with nobody. I feel like amazing. I feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Still having 8 to 10 tumors inside of me. Still got struggles and things with life. You know what I'm saying? But I feel as if like I'm ready for the next challenge.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for no more trials. I could like pause. The
Yeah,
trials.
we need to leave them on the sidelines for a little while,
For a little
brother.
while,
Because
yeah.
God, I think you've had your fair share of them at this point, my brother.
Yes,
Golly, man. God dang it, man. Dude, that's amazing, bro.
Yeah.
I just wonder, in those times when things are like with your cancer, man, it's kind of a personal, like nobody else can really even understand what you're dealing with, man. And so, I dealt with my dad. My dad died of leukemia. I was at MD Anderson with him. I was looking into his eyes when he took his last breath. And man, I watched the fight. He actually beat the leukemia at the end, and he died from pneumonia because of his immune system being so compromised. But being in those hospitals, man, it's very like depressing, dude. Being there, man, sitting there with him in those rooms and all. And so, man, I think it's just it's extraordinary the fact that you can rise above that every day, Bruce.
I appreciate that, and I'm sorry for the loss of your father. It's different, you know what I'm saying? Because I guess like when you have most cancers, there's like a deadline.
Yeah.
You can go through so many chemotherapy treatments. You get to ring the bell, and you beat the cancer.
Yes.
Well, when they tell you, no, man, that's terminal, doesn't mean I'm dying tomorrow. It means I'll never have a cure, and when I die, I'll still have this with me, 50% of the people don't make it 5 years. I'm on year 7. I'm younger than most people that would have been diagnosed with it, but so it's different. You know what I'm saying? So I don't physically. I don't have the radiation and the chemotherapy and what it does to your body. And I look perfectly healthy. You won't know that I have this, but I take 14 pills every day. The pills have like side effects, things like that. So, but I'm not. Look, for years people would ask me, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Look, my response would be like, I'm doing great. Never let them see you sweat."
Yeah.
Be honest with you, you don't really care how I'm doing. You're just asking a question, right? Yeah. So I never want to let people see me sweat. I've revealed more and opened up more about what I'm going through, and I've said it more like on Facebook and stuff like that because I feel as if like I should.
Yeah, because other people, man, listen, man, there's other people that are going through these things that maybe don't have the outlook for you, man. So, dude, I'm thankful that you're sharing this stuff and that you're as open as you are because man, there's a lot of people that are out there that are hurting and dealing with things, and they don't have a lot of hope in their life. You have a very hopeful attitude, a very optimistic attitude, and man, that's encouragement and optimism is lacking sometimes in the world, and compassion, and so you're always been. Yeah, dude, I love reading. I love reading your posts. I'm not on Facebook too much anymore, but I'll go there to if I'm having a tough day, I'll go find Bruce, and because shit, I know Bruce is having a tougher day than me, man, and his attitude's good. So
appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, dude, listen, man. I've always from afar when you and I met, I could tell the kind of guy you are, dude, and I've always respected you, man. You are hard to negotiate with in the business, so I know you always looked out for the company that you were working for, dude, and you always did the right thing. And but what do you think about these Saints, man? Yesterday, dude. Yesterday was pretty encouraging, man.
It was a strange game,
Man, but how do we get beat three deep passes, like deep passes? We blow coverages, but man, Taysom Hill was just a monster yesterday.
Yeah. I came into the season thinking the Saints defense was going to be like shut down, lights out.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened yesterday. I don't know why over 20 years we can't defend a deep ball, no matter who,
Right.
Paying Lattimore $100 million, he rarely gets beat. He's phenomenal, but it just I don't know. Maybe Tyrann Mathieu, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan are just a little older now.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe it's catching up, But
yeah,
there's a lot of encouraging things with the Saints. I think they have a lot of like talent, and I think yesterday they played as a team. Like Kamara, all that running, but he didn't score. But hey, Taysom scored. I think that Andy Dalton's on the field and Taysom comes in, and I think they're like playing as a team.
Yep.
Seattle's not the greatest team, but they have been scoring a lot of points, and they've been good this year.
Yeah, they're explosive, man.
Yeah, they've been good this year. So I think it was encouraging. I think next week will be like, I always say like you got to win a big game. You got to beat a really good team if you really want to be considered good.
Yeah.
And I think next week the Bengals they're 2-3. We're 2-3. So it's but they're the defending AFC champions.
Yeah.
And they're coming home to not they, but Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase,
Yep.
Von Bell and Trey Hendrickson, all these guys are coming back to the Dome.
Yeah.
It's going to be definitely a unique atmosphere,
Go to the games?
I'm going to that game.
You are?
I don't too busy to go to every game because it's such a takes a long, so much time, 3 kids and a business and stuff like that. But I'll go to 3 or 4 games a year, and we're going to that one. So
nice.
Yep.
I went to the LSU game this weekend, man. I'm bad luck. I think I can't. I'm not supposed to go to the games anymore, dude, because every game I go to, it seems either the Saints or LSU loses, man. So
well, don't go this weekend.
I told Ibieta, I said, Ibieta, he goes, well, I'm glad you're telling me because I'm not inviting you anymore.
yeah. Well, look, I love Brian Kelly, and I think the program's on the right track.
Yeah.
We had, I think I read a stat, 50 scholarship players the last 2 years. And you start this year, you have 20 transfers in. It's not your
Tough,
guys.
man. College football's changed, man.
It's not your culture.
Yep.
And I think I don't know about the offensive coordinator yet, but I think I really like the defensive coordinator. He's doing a good job. That defense, college. I mean, if we'd have Mason Smith right now, we probably wouldn't have beat Tennessee, but we wouldn't have lost to Florida State if we had Mason Smith. He's a top 3, top 4 pick.
Yep.
And that sucked to lose.
And then we lose Will Campbell.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they've announced what happened to him.
He was dehydrated.
And then
going through a walkthrough, he was dehydrated. So my 22-year-old son said that he was drinking. That means he was drinking the night before.
And we lose Dellinger
in the game
early in the game. So your best two linemen
looked like Tennessee's really good. I don't think we would have been able to. I mean, maybe but they when you cheer for LSU, you cheer to win the national championship.
That's right.
For the last 20 years, we've won 3 championships. We should have won a championship in 11. They kind of played.
How many has Ohio State won?
They've won 2 in 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Now, it's like 3 in 22 years, but I'm not going to give them credit for those 2. In 20 years, they've only won 2. And LSU's won 3. I think Clemson's won 2, and Alabama's won 6 or 7. So we're like in the second most championships over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And typically every 4 years, 2003, 2007, 2011, 2019, just about every 4 years, we in the championship game,
Yeah.
And so I think the Tigers are putting the right pieces together. That next year or 2, they could be right back there.
I think so too, man. I think so too. Well, brother, do you have anything else that you want to kind of tell to people? If not, then let people know how they can reach you and how they can find Bruce Miller if they're anybody that's looking for a used car.
Yep.
Listen, man, this is the guy to call for sure. And if he doesn't have what you need, he'll figure out how to get what you need. He's going to deal with you fair. And I wouldn't buy a used car from anybody else in the city except for Bruce. And if I bought a new car, I'd call him to find out, hey, who should I talk to at what new car dealership, man?
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's MillerMotorsWestBank.com. That's the website. It's 504-302-1959, and that's the dealership.
Okay.
We excel it with bad credit. That we sell all types of cars. I have over 130 cars in stock. I'll have $130,000 car out there every now and then. I'll have $50,000 cars, but our average sales price is $20,000, and we excel with bad credit. We have banks that cater toward that. So if you know somebody with bad credit, or a young person, or somebody that went through a divorce, or needs to be reestablished, that's what we do primarily. You can get them. You can get somebody hooked up.
Yes. So let's transition the car business. I'll tell you this. So I drive a Range Rover. My lease was up back in April, May, and when I went and look, I think my lease return my residual was $62,000. You couldn't buy one of these things for less than $96,000 back in April or May. I look now, and it's back down to 60-something thousand, the value. What is happening in the used car market, and what do you anticipate is going to happen with guys that have all this inventory at a high price, but then now the market's happened. How is that working with that situation?
Let me say one more thing about the other topic.
Yeah.
The new car franchises over the last 2 years have given up on people with bad credit.
Okay.
They don't want to chase after, because it takes a lot of commitment. I sell you a car, you have bad credit. We got to talk for the next 10 days.
That's right.
The bank's got to verify your income. They got to talk to you. You're in my car. We typically not making great margins on a bad credit deal. So it's a lot of work. So we do it because it's like a little part of giving back, helping somebody out.
Yeah.
We're not getting rich off these deals, But the new car dealerships have given up on that, and they're not really going after bad credit. Or going after they want the low hanging fruit. They don't want the tough deals, So
Because they don't have to.
They don't have to. And that's why, as an independent, in 12 months, I'm averaging 75 used cars a month. Is unheard of. I got friends all across the country. I'm in a big group of like 40 dealerships, and that's unheard of. It take you 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years to kind of get to the point where you're selling that many cars. But it's just right time, and people are not really trying, for the bad credit. As far as the market is right now, there's a lot of used car inventory sitting on people's lots that's overvalued.
Yeah, that's what.
And it's causing. So now these people, because you can track rates of no sale at auctions. So typically 6 months ago, you bring a car to the auction and the seller sells it 70, 80% of the time because he's getting the right amount of money. He lets it go. No big deal. Well, now that's down to almost 50%, so they're not getting what they thought they was getting. And then the market has dropped a little bit. So there'll definitely be a period of time that some adjustment, somebody has to send these cars to the auction. They'll lose a bunch of money.
Yep.
We
just got to take your lick.
Yeah,
At some point, you got to pay the piper.
We're like in a 90-day kind of cyclical type turn. I mean, you could correct everything in 90 days, but there will be some bad months ahead for some dealerships trying to get out the problem.
Yeah.
And it just kind of turned pretty quickly.
I heard there was a couple of stores here locally, man. Maybe a couple of lots that have been around for a long time, man. That didn't make it.
Yeah. Yep. And it happened fast.
Real fast.
Been in business, doing great people, and all of a sudden, it happens fast. I'm not speaking on anybody's current situation.
Yeah. No, that's why I don't want to mention any
business,
names.
Being a small business owner, I know one thing: if I have no cash in my checking account, I have no business.
Right.
I learned that from people that, before I opened up my own business, I learned that from other people. So if you buy a used car and you floor it with the company, they charge you $300-$400 to floor it, finance it for 90 days. Well, 90 days come and you didn't sell it. You have to pay that off. So you have to take your cash and pay that car off. Now the car is sitting on the lot, your cash is not there. So the pressure, or you have to liquidate that.
Yeah.
So, if you have 20, 30, 40 of those cars in your lot that are like paid for in cash, that are going down in value each month, you'll look up one day and say, wait a second, where's all my money? So you have, like I said, in the used car world, there's nobody coming to say today you have no residual income coming. If you have a few bad months and something's due on a floor plan, it goes fast, So I'm mindful of that in my business to kind of like, sometimes I won't go to the auction for 3 weeks, but sometimes I go to the auction 6 weeks in a row because the cash flow is there,
Okay.
I signed up for some new banks recently, and some of these banks are taking 10 days to pay
Fund the contract.
Yeah. Somebody comes in, Sean's got a $20,000 payoff. He buys a $20,000 car. I got to write a check for his payoff. When the car leaves the lot, the floor plan company expects me to pay that car off because it's not on the lot.
Yeah.
They don't fund me for like 10 days. I'm out $40,000 cash waiting to get that contract.
Times that by 20, 30 cars, all of a sudden you're talking about $1 million on the streets.
A lot of people don't do volume because they don't have enough cash to do volume. I worked in a store one time, and the store had plenty of money, but only a certain amount was allocated to that business. And my general manager said, stop. We had just sold like 20 cars a day, like the previous 3 days. He said, stop. Don't sell no more. I said, what? Tell them to stop. We got to get paid on these deals before we can start selling more.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, man, okay, I get it. No problem. I'm going to go tell them. I'm telling everybody right now to slow up. I didn't tell nobody to slow up.
Right.
We just, but there's point in times where, like, if you run out of cash, you don't have a business. If you don't have no, like, access
to cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bet you the car business is about to get real again. Like I was telling you, our phones, we work with a lot of the event companies, and their business has just been decimated just because you don't need events. Man, you're selling every car. There's no inventory. The prices are high. And their phones are ringing now.
Definitely. Well, I have some free time, and I'm in a group. We have 40 dealerships across the country. We talk about the business and stuff like that. And on this journey, I did some consulting for a used car lot. I went there for like 2 months, try to help them out. And I think that I could do that, right? I think that in my mind, one day a week, I can help somebody calls me, come help me. But nobody's looking for that during this pandemic. But I said to myself recently, somebody will be, because you're going to have to learn how to block and tackle again.
Yeah.
How to promote, train, hire, advertise, market.
Yep.
How to like lower your margins but still make net profit. All that's like a science. That's not like simply
That
done.
you've not had to do any of that over the last 2 years.
Yeah. No, you just open the doors and you're netting $300,000.
Listen, I got a good dealer friend of mine in West Virginia that has a piece of 7 stores. They got to a point where they won't even, if you're outside of their PMA, they're not even selling you a new car because they don't want to lose the service.
Correct.
And it's like, man, what the hell happened in the car business?
You can call
man?
dealerships right now, and if you want to buy, they'll sell you the car for MSRP, which they're typically making about 8%. It's like new Cadillacs, $100,000 cars. So they're gonna make $7,000-$8,000. But if you don't register it in Louisiana, they're not gonna sell you the car.
Not gonna sell you
because they want to keep the cars, the stuff locally. They gonna turn down $7,000-$8,000, which we never would have turned down.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. So what's the roadmap the next 3 to 5 years, 1 to 3 years for Bruce? Is it just stay in the course, making, squeezing everything you can out of this, or do you see there other opportunities that are going to present itself?
If I had, I ran across a few opportunities early that I wasn't prepared for. My floor plan is going to be $3 million soon. Going to get
Wow, man.
We're selling a lot of cars, so I don't know how it would look because there's always like God involved. But my vision is to have own and operate 10 used car lots, or 10 new and used car lots, a couple new car franchises. To do this, I have 2 successful businesses 2 miles apart. I can open up one in Slidell, Houma, Baton Rouge. I can take these sales managers and GSMs out of the franchise world and make them a partner with me.
Yeah.
Give them an opportunity to own a piece of a little used car lot. So I see that as being one thing that I'm going to do. And then just keeping my eyes and ears to the ground for the right opportunity. It might not be like a new car franchise on Veterans Boulevard, but it may be one in Prairieville, Louisiana. It may be one in Macomb, Mississippi. Huh? Okay, yeah. I'm saying like it might be like an off the beaten path, a little store that sells 40 cars a month. I catch wind that it's available for sale, and I would like go buy that store.
Go take it, put the right guy in there, bring it to 75 to 80, man, and just plant those. That's great.
No matter where it is, I'll sell 20 new cars from New Orleans, Louisiana, at that franchise.
Right. Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah. And then so that's again, I'm very, very excited where I am in life. We're doing well, and overcame a lot. But I just don't feel like this is the end of the story.
No, I don't think it. I don't think it ever ends for you, brother.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever ends. It's just the way you're wired, man. It's just the way you're wired. Well, brother, listen, man. Anybody that's looking in today, if you want to go buy, it's the only person I recommend going and buying a car from. And if you own a dealership or thinking about a used car lot, you want to, reach out to Bruce to pick his brain. He's a wealth of knowledge, and man, I'm going to continue to be one of your biggest cheerleaders, dude. I'm 100% in your corner. I love what you're doing, man, and I got just the utmost of respect for you, and man, just keep doing the things you're doing, man. You're having a great impact on the world. Your story is just a fantastic story, and the story's not finished being written yet, man.
Yes, look, some people sometimes say, "Oh, write a book." I said, "When I become successful, I'll write a book."
Yeah, for sure.
I said, "I'm not there." When I become successful, I'll write a book. I'm gonna have to get like an editor and
a ghostwriter. Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. Well, dude, listen, you should. Your story is truly a great story. So it's MillerMotorsWestBank.com. They can find you on Facebook. Bruce Miller.
Bruce Miller.
Any other social media channels that you guys are on?
It's Instagram and stuff like that, but Facebook is the main thing. That I use. Gonna use it every day. Promote the business. Highlight my employees. Undying love and loyalty to the Saints, Pelicans, and Tigers. And some like I said, try to be motivational. Kind of use my experiences, and I have a chip on my shoulder. And sometimes you can see that clearly through the Facebook post that I have a chip on my shoulder. But it's all meant to, like I said, man. People are overlooked. People are overlooked. People are not. There's a lot of disenfranchised people in the world that are overlooked, that are nobody gives two thoughts about them. People underestimate them, and that's been me my whole life. Underestimated, and to get to where I am, even here, it's like an amazing accomplishment. I'm not saying like I'm amazing by accomplishing it, but it's just an amazing accomplishment, and it's not lost on me. I know that, I respect that, and I kind of like, I'm grateful for that, If I never would have got the relationship with God, I wouldn't have had the irrational confidence to do everything else that I did in life.
Yeah.
That relationship with God gives me a rational confidence, because I'm like, gotta do it, I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
God's got my back,
Yeah.
and I didn't need nobody else. I never had nobody else, but I didn't need nobody else because I had my church, I had my relationship with God, and I just said, let's go, like David and Goliath. That's been that's my favorite story in the Bible, favorite passage, and I identify with that. I identify with that kid going to go face that giant. He looked around. He was like, "What are y'all doing? He's talking bad about us. Why is nobody going to fight him?" And he says, "I'm gonna go fight him." And I think he was 11 or 12 years old, and the giant was 9 foot tall. And that's kind of a mentality that I've had in my life.
Well, Bruce Miller, you're a good man, brother. I love you, dude. You're a shining light out there, man. And hopefully people get to see this today and hear your story, dude. Just because I think it's a great story, man. And you encourage me every day, my brother. Keep up the great work.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sean.
You got it, my man.